Holla at your boy, live and direct, LAK, Jazz America, 𝗦𝘂𝗯𝗀𝗶𝗯𝗲 University, Us TV. It's a Jazz Effect, live and direct, talking about life in the process that entails all these different phases and chapters of your life, and how to simplify it for people that going through the notions and the motions and the feelings of the different phases and how to transition through each phase without letting it affect you in a way that's detrimental to who you're becoming, and when it gets to the point of those types of feelings, what it means and how you can transition and withstand, endure, and overcome, conquer, and progress from those phases. So when we're talking about success, right? When you're talking about success, you got to understand that you chose to transition from a state of being that made you recognize that you wanted to transition to the next phase of a life or ascend to another level, because you were aware of what the mind and the body was bringing to your attention. So then you start to go through phases of, who do I speak to? What do I research? What path or direction do I move in? And let me channel or engage into different personalities, people, situations that are suitable for me at the moment, so I know where I belong, where I don't belong. You start to go through the emotions of being aware of characteristics that exist in the universal structure and makeup of like what we live in and stuff like that. Knowing that, you got to be prepared to be unprepared for the opportunities that are unknown to you, so that they become familiar pathways so that you can express the known roads that you have found, right? You got to embrace the transitional moments of what it takes to manifest money, higher spirituality, better communication, more self-control, more discipline, more being aware of characteristics that you know are within you, and having the balance to know that I'm made up of this uniqueness, and how can I channel myself or create moments or be a part of moments that are for me and are not for me. And still make it simplified for yourself and simplified for others so that people know how to coexist with you without feeling challenged or feeling awkward around your existence because of these channels that you're now a part of. So now that we got that in the process, knowing that you're going to go through these different type of phases. How do you know you're going to go through these different type of phases? You research and study people who went through those similar phases so that you know how to be aware of what is transitioning at the moment or what is current in the phases that you're going through based upon the research of being curious to have the dialogue with people who went through those phases, or read about people who went through the process to get to the destination that you aspire to get to. Your mind has to be molded in a unique way, and you have to create circuits in your mind that are prepared for your vision, so that when you're in a state of anxiety, it's only because you're not prepared for the moment. So, for example, if you're in a place that you ain't never been around before, right? And if you smoke, or you know what I'm saying, or you're just unfamiliar with the area, or you under the influence of something and you're not familiar with the area, you don't know the landmarks and where to go at that moment. So your body gets into caution mode or safe mode. And when you get into safe mode, you're not as much of a risk taker because you don't know the bends and the turns and the shortcuts and the makeup of the traffic, or the people that are foreign to you in that society, civilization, or in that situation or experience. So the key thing is to have a strategy of concentration, and it goes into meditation. In meditation, everyone has their different forms of meditation, and then you yourself have to engage in these different forms of meditation because everyone's channel doesn't operate the same way. So you have to find a channel that is conducive with your liking, so that when that glitch happens, when that moment happens, when that vibrational moment happens, you'll know that you've reached a level of euphoria, nirvana, a nostalgic moment, because now you can identify with it based upon the application of the processes that you put in. So a key thing to create or to alleviate create moments of clarity and alleviate anxiety and stress is when you're meditating, the goal is to create moments of clearness. We all want to manifest things in abundance and in like mass, vast, colossal variety, stuff like that. One of the key things is having clarity and also being content with the manifestation and the content with the process of what you manifesting, and being satisfied with the expectations of what you have, and not compare it to others and their manifestation, and also identifying with what type of manifestation you're in a process of making tangible. So you don't have that anxiety, because what's going to create the anxiety is you want it to happen faster than what is supposed to happen. Or we'll have different distractions that prevent us from keeping that vivid picture in our mind and that specific image in our mind. So the goal with the meditation is the mediation of the thoughts, the mediation of the subconscious and the conscious mind, and taking away everything and not thinking about anything at the moment. If I want to clean up my area, I have to visualize what that area looks like. I got to visualize the money that I'm going to make. I have to visualize the processes and the artistic creation that I'm going to create on a basic level and on a general level. And then when I add the application, I'm going to start creating moments of magic and creating moments of serendipity, meaning you start to bump into other channels of greatness based off the action process of you applying the concepts that you learned that are templates of manifestation, templates of creation, templates of learning, templates of teaching, templates of making things come to life. And making things come to life is actually like the engagement of a man and a woman. A baby is a thought. You know that there's a process of creating life, and you have to engage in a certain process that creates life, and life gets created, and it becomes the immaculate conception of the thoughts that were in synergy, hopefully, right? And hopefully there was an agreement of what this creation was going to be. So it's like the same thing with companies and creations. Like, you're engaging with the intercourse of thought that allows you to birth ideas. And when you birth the ideas, there goes into an incubation state that allows the idea to develop into a stage of a growing form of life that becomes its own form of magic that creates an extension of that spectacle of an idea, and becomes this beauty if knowing a process and applying certain concepts in a way that prevents you from making too many errors and not looking at things from a failure aspect of life. Because what happens when you start looking at things from losses, failures, and faults is that you start to feel a way about it, and you start to create this feeling that, okay, I was wrong, I was at fault, I was lost, da 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 da. You're not really feeling those things only because you chose to feel those things, and you chose to say it to yourself that, okay, I failed or I lost a game. When you start to look at it from, I ain't really lose the game. I won because I learned. I didn't make that really I didn't make that mistake. I was really just in the process of life. And when you do realize that you are aware of a moment that you know that you are doing something that go against the nature of who you are, or if you're in a moment of like, okay, I did something that wasn't of me, or there was a characteristic of me that I wasn't proud of, or there was a growth process of the incubation or the learning process of becoming the higher self. So it's like a kid, when you're watching a kid and you're saying, don't do that. The kid is learning the scale of life and what not to do, and why is it that I'm not supposed to do that, and why shouldn't I have done that, and what made me do that, and what are the environmental things that are around that made me go into a situation that allowed me to be a part of this growth process that turns me into this immaculate individual based off of my decisions. And how am I supposed to make these decisions, and what are the trainings that are implemented in my processes that eliminates negativity, and what is the process that allows a time for the negative so that I'm chemically balanced and not overly one way, so that I don't live an unbalanced life continuously, and I'm not overly positive, and I'm not looking at the negatives that can occur, or I'm not overly negative to where I'm like, I can't be optimistic about a situation. But having the mindset of balance and mediating the mind so that there are moments of clarity and clearness where I'm not looking at the good or the bad of a situation. I'm looking at the execution of a situation, the goal of creating to the point where I get across the finish line of executing an idea, or going all the way to the birthing process of a baby, or going to the finishing of a company, or creating a piece of life or art that I'm executing based off of these creative ideas, or I'm talking to someone and I'm engaging, and I'm in this process of having these moments of transitioning and what do you want to say, like you're in debt sometimes, right? And you have to pay, right, certain bills. And I listen to a lot of people and they like, yo, I got too many bills and I can't execute the game plan, or I'm gonna deviate from it because I got bills, I got student loans, I have these liabilities that I gotta pay for, right? And I don't look at things like that. I look at things as like, why don't I position myself to be at a point of leverage so that I get to a point of abundance and having this richness of opportunity and experiences and creating things that really don't exist, but now they're existing, and it creates these moments of value to where I attract people of value who see the value in me and catapult me in a position of more value, so that I'm of value to them and they're more value to me. And I can take those situations that I looked at as points of holding me back or pullback or an anchor, and now I look at it as a moment of freedom, because now I have something that's motivating me to work further and go further, so that I create clarity and clear myself up out of these situations that allow me to live in a state of peace and have a peace of mind, so I could create from a pure form. So we'll have these processes of feeling away because we create the debt to ourselves because of occurrences, guilt, experiences, society, liabilities that we engage in and stuff like that. And we create those things and we use it as conversational pieces to create a feeling of doubt, and sometimes the feeling of doubt and misery and fear and of being afraid creates a community of comfort, because we want to feel sorry for each other and stuff like that. But then you also have to have the moment of the optimistic outlook of those things, which is rare, and which allows you to be by yourself. And to be by yourself isn't just a moment of aloneness, but it's a moment of repairing, rehabbing, and becoming in love with yourself and the characteristics that create magic that takes you to a point of excelling, and takes you to a point of obsession, to where you love who you are as an individual, so that when you get around the influences and the different energies that linger around, you can still stand out in a crowd and still blend in based off of your accepting to not accept that you can be of the crowd or in the crowd but not of the crowd. So you could be in the crowd but not of the crowd and still be an individual, but still be a part of a crowd or a service or assembly line that makes up the whole of an entity, company, or a situation, a project, or stuff like that. So you be able to be a part of a higher calling or a higher purpose or a higher situation that allows you to express what you bring individually and symbiotically how you fit in with the process of that assembly line or that ecosystem? How do you echo in the voices of the choir that sings a song that is accepted by the masses, which creates them to operate in a certain wavelength of progression, success, influence, being relatable? And how do you channel your energy, and how do you accept that there's going to be days of anger, sadness, hunger, confusion, fear, power, clarity, direction, confidence, strength, awesomeness. Some days you're gonna feel like a genius. Some days you're gonna feel lost. Some days you're gonna feel creative. Some days you're gonna feel not creative. How do you accept that you're gonna go through those phases without getting in a state of a depression and not letting others identify you with a depression or stress label, so that when you accept other people's critique and validation or labeling of what they think you're going through, you don't succumb to those feelings, so that you damper your situation's mood? But will you allow yourself to say, okay, people don't understand what I was doing with that project, and the time span that I gave myself is not what the universe gave to me, because the perfect example of that was the pandemic, right? The pandemic was, I had plans, but then the universe came and created opportunity, or created a moment that would have blinded me from the opportunity. But I looked at a moment of destruction as a moment of repair, and a moment of creating solution for the problems that were occurring at that moment. So I'm not gonna allow those situations to damper my moment or to make me feel some type of way. I'm gonna use that moment as a tool, or a state of motivation, so that I can use that to get out of the popularity of misery, or the hysteria of doubt, fear, and the unknowing. And not the unknowing of the darkness or the miracle that's waiting to happen, but the unknowing of, why don't I take this time to research and do my due diligence, so that post-pandemic I could have a lot t-shirt with my name on the tag and sell a value of something so simplistic that means a lot. A lot of product, a lot of money in the stock exchange, a lot of stocks, a lot. When I'm trading currencies, I'm buying a lot. Or I'm going to LA. You feel me? Hello. Hola. What does it mean to you? What did the RP say to you? I'm going OT. TO. You feel me? TOLA. I told you I was going to do a lot. I told you that I was going to do a lot. I made a song called A Lot and made the song with a t-shirt that represented the song in the pandemic and spoke about moments of truth and moments of imagination and moments of creativity, right? I put the purple and gold together. Kobe was a significant figure in my life, and someone who I can channel based off of characteristics, results, and interviews, and a lifestyle of strategies and a way of thinking that I could add that to my repertoire and channel my own strategies of creating and having a mindset to run with, to enhance the mindset, or have a different concept of the mindset that works for me and works for my tribe and the people around me. So instead of having moments of doubt, which all of these moments have, right? They occur, but to be aware of it and to not let it overconsume your time and your energy, but knowing the balance of like, yo, at that moment I was feeling down, but I took that moment and I made a song about it.
6 o'clock.
Feel me? I made a song about it. I made a book. I wrote a book. I sat in a room and wrote a book in a day. In one day. You feel me? So I'm getting glimpses of the manifestation powers that I have, and also being a student and learning of the ecosystem that I'm creating and allowing myself and allowing the universe allowing the universe to prepare me, and allowing the universe to put figures and people and energies in my life that are an extension or a mirror of who I'm becoming, or characteristics of individuals that I can identify with, that adds to who I am, because the I am is omnipresent. And when we are aware of these different things, we learn how to live and engage with different lifestyle, individuals, cultures, perspectives, perceptions, and choices, decisions, and processes that you start to learn and simplify, because you know what's for you and what's not for you. And you know that you're living a life that there is a time scale that was created, right? and you've seen what a pandemic can do. You've seen what an everyday society is entailed with or has occurring every day, and you read these novels and you read these books and you did the self-help and you spoke to your homegirl and you seen manifestation and you seen all of these different things and you seen and you witnessed all of these different things, and having the acceptance of your own individual experience and allowing yourself to become that person and saying to yourself like, yo, for me, I like to dream big. Like I want abundance. I want it all. Like there's more L's in there. It's invisible. It's all over the place. You feel me? It's not L as in a loss. You feel me? We don't do the losses like we're living. We're loving. You feel me? We're like live. We're alive. A lot. You feel me? And once you can identify with those things, you make manifestation fun. And you allow the incubation of who you're becoming to occur and fall in love with the process, because every moment is a moment of serendipity. And once you start to learn the moments of serendipity and you apply the action and you start going in direction, you become better at everything that you apply yourself to do. And you start to identify with things that you don't want to do. And you realize that, okay, this person wanted to do this, or this person loves to do that, and this person to do that. But as a whole, I'm going to allow that person to do that. I'm going to allow you to do this. And if we're a team and we have this ecosystem, I allow you to play your position how you want to play your position, and I let you play your position because I want to play my position the best way I know I can. And I don't want to be doing your position or his position, or I don't want to do that. But for the meantime, while I'm learning the concept of the ecosystem, I'm learning your position and the basics of it, so that when I'm building and I'm running the system and I'm running the ship, I can identify with how to communicate with you and how to lead the team without being power drunk. So this is the simplification of manifestation, because you're starting to identify with the positions and the skill sets that we all have. And once you identify that with which comes from spending time alone, right? So that you can be around people. And that's one of the things that I chose to do, because it's a choice. Right? Success is a choice. Your career path is a choice. Everything that you deal with is a choice, right? And you got to live knowing the fact that you're living on an earth that gave you no guidelines, right? And by the time you got to the guidelines and the guides and the books and the gurus and all these different people, you are already at a certain point. So now you got to learn on the go. And the time here on this planet is, there's a time limit, right? Even though we have the limitless abilities to create, right? So we know that, but we're not going to think like that. We're going to try to create heaven on earth, you know what I'm saying? As it is in heaven, so shall it be on earth. You feel me? Heaven, the mind, the kingdom, when kingdom come. You feel me? The kingdom. Give us this day our daily bread. You feel me? Give us this day of opportunity to create the daily bread of manifestation. And forgiving ourselves and forgiving others, so that you can move forth with clarity And when you move forth with clarity, you can manifest things, right? And still have those moments of moments that fuel you, so that you're not taking out the anger on other people, and you're not taking out the anger on the destruction of things, but you're taking out the anger on the channeling of transmutation to build. You feel me? You're taking it out to build the infrastructures and the manifestations of architecture and societies, and to molding the mindset to think in a certain way, and having the clarity to visualize and touch and feel the tangible outcomes of what you see already, the positions that you see yourself in, the relationships that you want to be in, the happiness to feel it, the confidence to feel strong, to win a game, to create a song, to perform, to put yourself in that mind state, to continuously have those moments of magic while you're engaging with yourself, because you're marrying yourself so that you're committed to the betterment of who you're becoming and who you are, so that no matter what situation or relationship you're in, it doesn't destroy you. It just teaches you, and it makes you become a higher version of yourself, or another version of yourself with characteristics that you didn't know you had, but you were able to withstand and to evolve yourself in so many different forms. So to be clear about who you are and what you're becoming, and not have the moments of guilt based off of what you got going on, your culture, where you coming from, the foods that you eating and stuff like that. Because another thing, when the diet of the mind is overpowering the diet of the body, because I've met people that, and not to say that it was right or wrong, but people that, I met a lady that smoked cigarettes her whole life, and she was like 91. She said, I smoke a cigarette every day and I drink every day, but I'm happy. So the consumption of the drug of being happy and being in love with yourself is the drug. Meditation and getting high off yourself is the drug that defeats all drugs, that makes those other drugs feel so good because you feeling good with yourself. But sometimes we get put in the processes of these feelings that you have to feel so that you can identify with them. Just because you down don't mean that you're depressed. Just because you're in a state of repairing yourself don't mean that you're stressed. Just because something happened don't mean that you have to feel those feelings. You have to feel those feelings to identify with those feelings, so that when those feelings keep occurring, they don't get the best of you, because you know how to dismiss them. And you start to age backwards, because your body is the water, and the water in your body starts to crystallize in a form that makes you look like you, based upon your thoughts. So when you think in positive thoughts and you start thinking clarity thoughts, the skin in your face and your body starts to glow in that aspect. And you start to see it. And you start to project the light from your body, because you know you're a human, like the hue and the light, the hue of light projects out of man. And you're a human being, like you're a light person being. Actually being meaning you're active. You're an active form of light that's dancing. That's why you see a flame. The flame dances when you engage in the process of illuminating the light that's within, and the fire that burns, that turns into desire. You know what I'm saying? And the desire creates the chemical reaction and the combustion of action in the process of connectivity. So you're connecting the dots that turn into a solid form of manifestation. So sometimes we can all manifest, but sometimes the people that we want to manifest got to be on the same frequency of manifestation. And there's different levels of that manifestation, because you could connect with people on the lower frequency of the manifestation. So there's a connection in that, and there's a higher state, right? And there's a mediocrity state of it, or a medium state of it. So it's knowing to be aware of, okay, these moments, and knowing that there are moments of being drunk of the moment, because you're overly drunk, because you want to be around that person a lot, because of y'all share a commonality of misery, or y'all share a commonality of success, or y'all share a commonality of business, or y'all share a commonality of food choice, or hobbies, leisure time, stuff like that. So y'all on that frequency by choice, and you project that frequency. And then you also have a frequency of the aloneness. Do you have the frequency to channel the God or the higher being with yourself? Do you have that connectivity? Do you connect to that source? Do you connect to the source that talks to you and tells you, yo, you alive, you aware, you woke, like you sleep, you made that move? Did you make that call? Do you express yourself? Did you project the God that's in you? Do you talk like a God? Do you live like a God? Are you in the process of the God-like projection? Are you living that? Are you projecting that? Are you becoming that? Does your features project that? Did you witness the processes of men and women becoming in their God forms? And from you witnessing that, are you having others witness you? And is the value going up? And when the value goes up, you'll have a template of, or proof of, the manifestation of getting to God form. And it's undeniable. That's why you could speak and have these high expectations and these high aspirations, and dreaming bigs and making it happen, and already accepting it, that I am worth $1 trillion. I'm really worth more, right? But while I'm here on this earth, I know I'm going to manifest what hasn't been seen or hasn't been done. And for the people who don't understand it, they'll get it sooner or later, right? Because the world is based off of trends and influences, right? And if the world is built off of trends and influences, one person has to jump over the hill, right? Cowboy over the hill, album out, check it out, right? The cowboy has to go over the hill to make sure that the coast is clear, and then be like, yo, we in here, boom. Then while you jumping over the fence, right, someone learns how to build a new fence. Someone learns how to not have a fence. Someone learns how to fly over the fence. Then we have all these different parties over the fence. And now we partying with your innovation and your innovation and your invention and your invention. And I'm like, yo, that's dope. How can I apply that to my system? Yo, how can I apply that to my system? Yo, how does it work to that? Oh, yo, shorty come through. Like, yo, we over the hill. Boom. now we have this moment of magic because we've learned that there are infinite ways, right? Infinite ways to create, and now you become these characteristics in this life form of your thoughts, and you'll start to learning that people are living on these different on this part of the world and that part of the world, and you respect how people are living, and you make them respect, or they don't even have to respect what you got going on, but you make them aware of how you're living, and then now you become a value because you're giving value to people who don't have value within themselves. So now I'm giving you value, and I'm being aware that, okay, I don't necessarily want to take away from your value, and we don't want to get into moments of conflict because then we start taking away value from each other, right? But it happens, and those moments just happen naturally. So we're going to say certain things and certain things happen, but for the most part, you want to identify with it so that the moments of creating value outweighs those moments of devaluing and situations, and the moments of devaluing can be displayed in artwork so that those moments can have its moment in time to know that those moments exist, and we ascended from those moments of the devaluing or the chaos or the destruction, because the transition from those it's evident, and it's talked about, and it's on the news, right? It's on the news. So why, when it's in art form, it gets critiqued in a way that's wrong, but when it's on the news, it's like, okay, we gotta watch the news so that we could sit there and have hours of bad news and hours of misery and hours of this tragic shit happens. But when the artists talk about these tragic moments, it's looked at like, yo, you creating chaos or some crazy shit. No, what needs to be taught is these moments existed. It's a painting. Here's a mindset that needs to be in a curriculum so that we know the difference from art, right? And the difference from art and what's happening and occurring in real life, right? And know that moments like that create the art, right? And being acceptance of the balance of imagination and the balance of reality, and not having each one overly consume each other. Because we got reality TV. Yeah, we understand that reality TV exists, but it's not really, some of it is fiction, right? And then we got the imaginary lives and roles that we're playing, as far as a movie role or plays, or just playing off the imagination, because the imagination needs to be exercised and expressed, not to sometime make it come to life, but know that we want to think outside of what we see, because we like the escape of reality, because sometimes reality can create those feelings that we don't like. So now I want to go live out of space for a moment, because in space I could channel the imagination to live in a fantasy that makes me feel good at the moment, or I see myself living in the future, if I want to make that a reality. So who teaches these things, or these processes or curriculums that will allow the balance of thought and engagement and mindset, so where that We not drunk off of anxiety, drunk off stress and depression. And we're not just sitting there like, yo, I come from this environment, so I can't do this or I can't do that. Or I'm not looking at another person's situation and being like, yo, you living like this or you living like that. Because you can't give us these novels and these stories and we sitting and we listening to people like, yo, homie was living in a dungeon or living in a cave and he was thugging it out and he was, making a way, and he was taking his time because he was listening to the higher power, and the higher power was telling him like, yo, bro, just take your time because, I put you in the dungeon because, they say he that dwelleth in the secret place findeth the Lord and stuff like that. And I want to put you in a position of peace of mind, and I want you to sit here and find yourself and go through these moments of like aloneness, and when everyone is critiquing you and you still got the faith, and you keep having the faith of all these different characters, and you going through the motions of your body morphing and changing, and you growing and you turning into this, and people are leaving and you going through the motions. In reality, in the society, they're going to look at you as like something's wrong with you, you're crazy, you bugging, you're the black sheep, you get shunned, Whole time, you have an abundant and plethora of characteristics that turns into the bag. You got so many bags that you need a bag for the bags. So like, the only thing with society today is you getting to witness the process, when back in the days there wasn't no social media. Everyone was just a superstar fantasy of what you thought they lived like, and they were like X-Men, and they were just magical in a sense, right? And now you get to see the process, and once you get to see the process, you're like, oh man, I gotta go through that to be great, because the person didn't show that they were spending 1 billion hours in the gym, 1 billion hours reading, 1 billion hours knocking on doors and getting 1 billion business cards. You feel me? Like, people not showing that. Like, people be wanting to know like what the hustle is for real and stuff like that, but they don't really want to know the hustle, you know what I'm saying? They don't know that. They don't know that. You be outside, right? And you got 1 billion business cards, right? And you knocked on 1 billion doors. So when I'm talking about 1 billion and $1 trillion, because I knocked on 1 billion and I knocked on 1 billion and trillion doors, and I spoke to 1 billion people, right? And God is allowing me to go through a process where I become the value, and I am the value. I'm already the value. You know what I'm saying? People just got to recognize that I am the value, and they already know that I'm the value, right? So I don't really have to debate with anybody, because I already knocked on the doors, right? When you knock, they shall answer, asking you shall receive, stuff like that. I asked. I already asked. I asked myself first. I allowed myself to accept the fact that I am, right? And I am wealthy and a trillionaire and a billionaire and a quadrillionaire and stuff like that. I already accepted that, right? The universe, I spoke to the universe. I spoke to God. I knocked on 1 billion and trillion doors, right? I created the artwork. I'm creating tons of song. I'm speaking to the people. I have the balls enough to talk to people, you know what I'm saying? And I'm accepting of the process and the procedures that allow me to become who I am, even when the tests occur, you feel me? The tests occur, we still pass, you know what I'm saying? And the test just becomes a test of money because we keep just testing the money. You feel me? And the money is the currency. And we allow ourselves to go through the motions of the rebuilding and the resurrection of becoming who I said I was going to become. And having the action and having the tangible things that people see that I became, and not being humbled, right? In a sense of like the ignorance based off the ignorance, right? You see how that shit go hand in hand? The ignorance of people who purposely ignore you because they're ignorant to the fact that you went through the process, and they know you went through the process and you're still going through the process, right? So they'll shun you or act like they don't see you because you're illuminating so high and so bright. And it becomes a battle of light versus light. You feel me? And what happens is, you know, the light, like the laser beams, it's like Star Wars with the beams and stuff like that, right? But that necessarily don't have to happen, because when you create a lane for yourself and you already knocked on those trillion doors and you spoke to those people and you went through different procedures and you walked different lives, you feel me? And you walked through these different pathways and you met these different people that are reflections of yourself, and they know that I seen homie, I seen he spoke to me, he knocked, we had a conversation, you know what I'm saying? He was asking me about such and such. He was respectable, you know what I'm saying? He carried himself like a man. Like, I seen him when he was young. I remember when he was a teenager and he was telling me what he was gonna do when he was an adult. And I'm going through the processes, and people are witnessing these things. So when I'm speaking of or speaking passionately about, and it's not just about the passion, because, you know, I am passionate, but let's just talk about the finishing of the processes that is being done, that it's new and innovative, and it's changing the status quo, and it's creating disruption. And it is real, because before anything takes off and goes into the next phase of that abundance and wealth, there's going to be pushback, and there's going to be like what do you call that, resistance, right? Because there's going to be resistance at first, because it's new. It's a new way of the new way, right? So you got to give people time to get familiar with the concept and not feel discouraged because people don't understand that you are yourself, and you're becoming a newer version of them because they were at the position where you were at, and they were just a different version of you, but you're now the evolved version of that, and you're going to build more evolving versions of yourself via offsprings, mentorees, and stuff like that, and communities and people that want to be around you. So it's not really even that complex to even think much about it. The goal is to apply the action, combine it with the self-talk, and have the clarity of the mind to speak and to think and see it vividly in your mind, and learn to train your imagination so that your imagination can train itself to see these things, so that the manifestation can occur fast, vividly, continuously, and contagiously. Like Jonah Berger, like, yeah, you know, contagiously, so that it goes viral because of who you are, and knowing the value of who you are, and allowing people to witness the value and the becoming of who you are, so that your light, they can bathe in it. Right? Like a bathing ape. You can bathe in my light. You can bathe in my speech. You can bathe in my aura. Like you can bask in my delivery. You can bask in it. You feel me? As I'm basking in it first. Because I had to bath and bathe in me so that I know, like, yo, shorty, you could touch me and feel some type of way. Like you could be in my presence and just look at me and feel some type of way. Homie, yo, I could just talk to you like on your level, no matter like how high you sit, or you know what I'm saying? Like we could talk on a level like, yo, if you at a lower level, lower than me, or we on the same walks of life and we end up just walking and bumping into each other, we could have that identification of like, yo, oh, you on this path? You on that path? Well, yo, here's some joints I learned, bro. Like, here's the jewels that I gained, and da-da-da-da-da, or here's this information, da-da-da-da-da. I'm gonna holler at you. I'm gonna see you on the next phase. Boom. Those moments happen when you identify with them. And then sometimes those are unspoken agreements where you could just walk and just, okay, I got you. I'm gonna holler at you. Boom. And then that's it. So the goal is the process, the emotions, right? The energy, emotion, energy, the emotions that occur and take place, and then how to identify with it and not let the outside world combined with the emotion affect the direction and the progression of who you are and where you're going. Feel me? So live again, yo, Jazz America, a lot of t-shirts online now. The prices will be going up. Get the originals first, you know, because they're going to be continuously made, or maybe they won't, you know, just depend on how I'm feeling in the art world and what I bring to the table or the castle. Yeah, Jazz America, 𝐬𝐵𝗏𝐿𝐴, I'll let your boy. I'm making, I guess, being intellectually versed sexy again. And showing the, you know, the progression of oneself and the evolution of like self-belief, motivation, and self-love, and having the energy and the love for others, and keeping it, you know, me, and having a balance of like the edge and staying grounded, you know, and then also having the knowledge of not knowing. Think about that. The edge of staying grounded, and also have that knowledge of not knowing. And knowing that I am who I am. Jazz America, 𝐿AK, holla at your boy. Book out now, Become Before Becoming. Music, all on the platforms. Products, drop shipping, holla at your boy. Artwork, billions, trillions of dollars. I can just taste it. It's not even about the well, it is about the money, but it's about the ambiance that you want to set in your space, so that when you see these images and you get to witness the process of these images, how it makes you feel, and where does it take your mind, and can you taste and see through meditation the successful life that you want to live, and are you inspired by the process that you've witnessed from me? And the projection of where I am already on this journey and going. Jazz America, holla at your boy. What's up? Yeah, check out my kid's new artwork too. Kendall Lee, holla at your boy. Holla at your girl. You feel me? She is the female version of me, the better version of me. She just did a freestyle, first take, right? Already had flow, already had the groove, already was self-talking herself without me teaching her. Well, I taught her, and shouts out to everyone else in her life that's teaching her these things, but she already knew what to say and how to say it. And before she got on the mic, there's images of her incubating with the headphones on that I projected before I could even see, and now she is becoming. I'll let your boy. 𝗦𝘂𝗯𝘀𝗶𝗯𝗲. You already know. Kendall Lee, your turn. Right? Jazz America. What's up?